Hello, everyone. A very good morning or afternoon to you, wherever you are. Welcome to today's webinar on Faecali. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be your moderator for today. I work with the marketing team here at Anagenix, and I'm very excited to be hosting today's session. I'm also very pleased to introduce Emma. Emma Graham is the product champion for Actazine and Livaux. Emma has been with Anagenix for over 5 years, and she has accumulated a lot of good experience on our Kiwi product range. She has assisted with our first clinical and currently working on our second clinical. Emma has also helped put together the white papers and is also integral to us Livaux being selected for Probiotic Asia in 2018. So before I hand the mic over to Emma, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. First, the webinar will be available on demand after the live session. You just need to click on the same link where you're using now to access the video, the webinar. You may also download today's presentation, and that's available on your handout tab. So if you go to the main menu bar and look for handout, you will be able to see the presentation is right there. And we would also like to hear from you. So if you have any questions, please just type it into the question tab at the menu bar, and we will be able to see that, and we'll try to answer all your questions. And if we cannot get to your questions today, we will certainly come back to you with the answers. We also have a short survey at the end of the webinar, and please fill that out for us so we can get some feedback from you as well. So I'd just like you to sit back and enjoy the webinar, and I will kick things off by welcoming Emma. Emma is actually down with a cold today, but she's a champion. Yeah, she's a champion, and she's kind of pumped herself with a lot of drugs, and so she's going to hang in there for us. But you may see her grabbing a tissue or having a drink in between. Yeah, but that's because she's actually down. Okay, so over to you, Emma.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, so please, do excuse me if I need to pause for a little bit. So hi, thanks for joining us, everyone. So today we are going to be talking about this wonderful bacteria called Faecalibacterium prausnitzii that lives inside of all of us. So we're just going to cover off a few discussion points, as you see here. So what is F.prau? What is its association with various diseases and digestive conditions? How it changes throughout your life. Also what beneficial effects it has on the body. And then how do we go about and grow our F.prau that we might already have. So today we'll be talking about digestive health, obviously, and this is one of Anagenix's key health platforms. So in particular, this webinar that we're doing today relates to our gold Kiwifruit product called Livaux. But just as an overview of what else we do here at Anagenix in our main health platform of digestive health, we also have Actazine, our green Kiwifruit powder, and this is for bowel regularity. Then over in our respiratory health platform, we have an ingredient called berry chi, and this is a berry-based product which is to help support lung function, particularly with exposure to pollution. Then we also have various other products in the pipeline, for example, things for blood glucose management, protein digestion. So do feel free to drop us a bell after this webinar if you are interested in any of those as well. So I'm sure you're all aware of the human microbiome. So just to summarize this and set the scene for us. So we humans contain trillions of microbes in and on our body. This includes about 1,000 different bacterial species. And there are about 10-fold more microbes than there are human cells. So these microbes are collectively referred to as the microbiota. And alternatively, they can also be referred to as your microbiome, particularly when you include their genes as well. So 95% of these microbes are located in your gastrointestinal tract, and they weigh about 2 kilograms. So the microbes are also very different depending on the location in or on the body, and everyone's microbiome is different, and it's unique, like a fingerprint. The human gastrointestinal tract is one of the most complex ecosystems, and the gut microbiome is key to maintaining homeostasis of a healthy individual. The microbes in the gut have various functions. These include things such as the production of essential nutrients like your vitamins and amino acids, also help to metabolize or break down some indigestible food compounds. They are able to help protect against pathogens and also protect the epithelial lining of the gastrointestinal tract against injury. They also have influence over central physiological functions, such as the development and training of your immune system. They can help to promote blood vessel formation or angiogenesis, and they can also help to promote fat storage and modulate your bone mass density. So within our gut is a balance of so-called good and bad microbes. And what happens if this balance is upset, then we get something which is called dysbiosis. Now, dysbiosis can be categorized into 3 different types. There can be a loss of beneficial organisms. You can have an excessive growth of harmful organisms, or you can also have a loss of overall microbial diversity. And all of these factors, so there's various factors that can actually affect your microbiome balance, and these can include things like stress, the type of medication you use, particularly antibiotic use, what you're eating, if you have a lack of dietary fibre especially, and also the amount of exercise and sleep that you get can also impact your microbiome. So dysbiosis can lead to simple digestive issues such as bloating, wind, constipation, diarrhea, but it can also lead to complex and chronic disorders. So for example, irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel disease, obesity, diabetes, allergies, including skin allergies like eczema, neurological conditions, including autism, and even cancer. So formerly known as Faecalibacterium, Faecalibacterium prausnitzii is one of the most abundant commensal bacteria in the healthy human large intestine. F.prau, as we like to call them, is part of the Clostridium leptin group, and this is in the Firmicutes phylum. It's now generally accepted that F.prau accounts for approximately 5% of the total fecal microbiota in healthy adults, but this can increase to up to around 15 to 20% in some individuals. Now, F.prau is not restricted to just humans. It is widely distributed in the gut of other animals, and these include mammals like your pig, also in mice and calves, can be found in poultry, like chickens, and even the lovely cockroach has F.prau. Now, there are several reports that the levels of F.prau can change with age. To start with, when we're born, babies up to 6 months old have no detectable F.prau in their stool. There is then an increase up to about the age of 2, and then this is where we start to see similar levels as that in adulthood, as I said before, around the 5 to 20% mark. And then as we get older, the F.prau levels start to decline, and in the frail elderly, there have been reports of as little as 0.3%. So these differences do suggest that F.prau is not passed on by the mother like other microbes during birth or while breastfeeding. Instead, it seems that F.prau is likely to need other initial colonizers to generate a favorable environment for its growth, and also a different food substrate, so other than mother's milk to grow. And it's normally around that 6 months of age that babies are introduced to food other than the mother's milk or formula, which is why we might see that increase then. Also, while we might see the decline in elderly, is that the elderly do tend to have a different diet to that of younger people due to various reasons, and so that might be why we see that reduction happening there. So reduced levels of F.prau compared to healthy populations have been found in patients with a raft of different health concerns. These can include things such as gastrointestinal conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, for example, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis. It's also been found in patients with irritable bowel syndrome and colorectal cancer. But it's also been associated with systemic concerns, for example, in allergies, and also diabetes and obesity, and also in neurological conditions. So there have been links here to multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and also depression. So why might that be? Well, the pathogenesis of these conditions typically involves inappropriate and ongoing activation of the immune system, and this is with inflammation. So what might be happening here is you've got dysbiosis of the gut. And this leads to the production of inflammatory cytokines and other metabolites and secreted molecules, which then go on to stimulate the immune system and inflammation. And this is not just your local inflammation in the gut, but it also can spread and go into the systemic system. So what beneficial effects does F.prau have on the body then? So there are numerous in vitro and in vivo studies which have shown that F.prau has potent anti-inflammatory properties. So this is believed to be through various pathways. For example, we have F.prau metabolites. These are so-called microbial anti-inflammatory molecules, or MAM. These go on to inhibit NF-kappa B, which results in anti-inflammatory signals. Another potential pathway is that F.prau produces butyrate, and this then goes on itself to inhibit NF-kappa B. Another pathway is that F.prau can interact with dendritic cells, and these are key components of the immune system, and these cells help to stimulate the production of Treg cells, and these are a type of immune cell which promote anti-inflammatory signals, and they also play a key role in preventing autoimmunity. And then another potential pathway is that F.prau stimulates the production of compounds like salicylic acid, and these can also have anti-inflammatory properties. Another couple of benefits, F.prau can help to balance the microbiome. So in a study of colitis in mice, F.prau was shown to help counterbalance the observed dysbiosis that occurred with the colitis. And then also F.prau supernatants, so potentially the metabolites or molecules secreted by F.prau, has been shown to enhance the intestinal barrier function. And this is thought to be via the production of raffinose. And lastly, one of probably the biggest benefits of F.prau is that it is a major butyrate producer. So butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid, and it plays a major role in gut physiology. It has numerous beneficial effects, and these have been well documented. The most important benefit or function of butyrate is that it is the main energy source for the colonocytes, and these are the cells that line the colon. Butyrate can also help to produce mucus within the gut, which is very important for both the barrier, gut barrier, or your first line of defense against invasion by other pathogens and toxins, can also help to absorb ions, can control the intestinal cell life cycle, so that includes things like promoting cell growth and also helping with differentiations of cells, so changing the cell type. Can help to support the immune system by improving the or controlling the barrier function of the colon. It can induce apoptosis or cell death of malignant cells. It can help control pathogens and can also affect the inflammation pathways by controlling cytokines. And it can also help to control intestinal motility. So with all of these health benefits and correlations to health concerns, it would be quite desirable for a consumer to be able to take F.prau as a supplement. However, as you may have noticed, most commercial probiotics don't actually include the dominant commensal human species. And this is potentially why, potentially one of the reasons why probiotics that you find on the shelf don't colonize and persist in the gut for long periods of time. So there is increasing interest in using commensal bacteria as probiotics, and F.prau is currently being considered as one of these next generation or next gen probiotics. There are, however, a few limitations before people will get there. Firstly, in order to be considered a probiotic by regulatory authorities, a microbe must meet certain criteria. So it must be isolated and well characterized. It has to achieve certain safety requirements, and it also has to show beneficial effects on the host. So F.prau certainly meets this third criteria, but there is more research needed to satisfy the first two. One of the main reasons for there not being quite enough research on F.prau is that F.prau is extremely oxygen sensitive, so it is very difficult to cultivate even in anaerobic conditions. So due to the issues around cultivation and the requirements for getting approval for probiotics, F.prau is currently not yet available as a supplement for consumers. So how then do we consumers help how can we help support the growth of our F.prau that might already be in our guts? So it must come from the diet. We need to feed it, and this is where Livaux, our gold kiwifruit powder, can come in. So recently, through a clinical study conducted by our research partners at Plant and Food Research here in New Zealand, we have shown that Livaux is able to support the growth of F.prau in a group of functionally constipated individuals who had reduced levels of F.prau prior to the intervention. They've had the consumption of 2.4 grams of Livaux per day for 4 weeks, and this led to a significant twofold increase in the relative abundance of F.prau. So quite a dramatic increase there. In a separate study, researchers in Europe used an in vitro simulation of the human gastrointestinal tract. This is called the SHIME model. And this model allows the researchers to study what is happening at each section of the digestive tract separately. So as you can see here in the model, you've got the stomach, the small intestine, and then the 3 distinct parts of the colon, the ascending, transverse, and descending colon. So Livaux was fed into this model at the start here. It was part of a symbiotic formulation with other prebiotics and also some spore-forming probiotics. And so the simulated daily dosing of the formulation was shown to significantly increase the amount of F.prau in the descending and transverse colon. And there was also a significant increase in butyrate in all 3 colonic regions compared to the control. So just to summarise on Livaux, so Livaux is a whole fruit powder made from New Zealand gold kiwifruit. As a whole fruit powder, it does contain several key bioactives which work together to bring about digestive and immune health benefits. It's backed by science, so it's a precision prebiotic targeting the beneficial bacteria F.prau. It helps to improve intestinal protection, it can reduce inflammation and also support healthy gut motility. And it does all this at a low dose with no unwanted side effects. We're talking only 2.4 grams or less per day. So thank you very much for your time. That's all from me, and I will hand you back over to Elizabeth to go through any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Emma. That was a very insightful presentation. Like I didn't know we have anything in common with cockroach until today. So everyone, if you have questions, you can send them through now, or in fact, any time for that matter, just send them through. We've already received a couple of questions. So before we answer the questions, I'd just like to do a short poll, and this will be sent out to you. I'm going to launch it now, and the question is, which day of the week would you prefer to have a webinar? Okay, so I'm just going to launch the poll. If you could take your vote right now. Okay. We're up to 60–70% people voting. We'll just have a little bit more to go before we close the vote. Okay, that's very good. I'm just going to close the vote right now, and I'll just do a quick share of the results. So it looks like most people prefer to have a webinar on Friday, which is very good. So we are on track. So that's great. I'm now just going to close the results. Thank you for everyone for your contribution to this. Okay, so we are going to go straight into questions. The first question here, Emma, what is the active compound in Livaux that is reducing inflammation?
Okay, so Livaux, obviously, as we talked in the webinar, does help to promote the growth of F.prau, and that itself has the anti-inflammatory properties that we spoke about. But also, aside from that, Livaux, as a whole fruit powder from Gold Kiwifruit, has really good levels of vitamin C in particular, and also vitamin E, and there are other compounds as well, the polyphenolic compounds within Livaux, and all of these can have antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties, which can help to reduce inflammation as well.
Okay, that's great. So Emma, so what's going to stop someone from, buying a supplement of buying vitamin C supplement, taking vitamin E supplements separately? Why Livaux? Why not take these separately?
Good question. Well, if you're going to just take vitamin C by itself, that's all you're getting. You're just getting vitamin C. Livaux is, as I said, contains multiple components. So you're getting not only that vitamin C, vitamin E, you're getting the benefit of the polyphenols, which have their own health benefits. You're getting the dietary fiber component as well, helping to feed your F.prau. So taking vitamin C by itself is not going to affect your F.prau levels. Taking Livaux is going to give you that whole synergistic effect. You also have the other digestive health benefits of Livaux as well, which includes helping to improve your stool frequency or gut motility as well.
That's great. Okay, so here's an interesting question. It's a good question too. So what happens to F.prau level if you stop ingesting Livaux?
Okay, yeah, that is a good question. So a lot of the research has shown that changes to your microbiome via the diet are dependent on the diet. So if you start off with low levels of F.prau, if you start taking Livaux daily, you'll increase those levels. But then as soon as you stop taking Livaux or whatever is feeding the F.prau, then it will potentially go back to what it was before. So you need to be taking Livaux daily in order to keep promoting the growth and supporting healthy levels of F.prau.
So keep taking Livaux, don't stop.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's one about question more relating to symptoms. So are there any visible improvement symptoms when one ingests Livaux?
Yes, so we found in the clinical study referred to in the presentation that in those patients with functional constipation who saw the increase in F.prau, they also found that their symptoms, digestive symptoms, actually had reduced or improved. So we got them to record, for example, their levels of pain, digestive discomfort, wind, bloating, that sort of thing while they were taking Livaux, and those conditions were found to improve with having Livaux.
That's great. So you can feel some improvement in the symptoms, yeah. And including maybe a more regular bowel as well.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So apart from F.prau, does Livaux promote the growth of other bad bacteria? Is it just good bacteria that is promoting? So yeah.
Yeah, so just good bacteria. We've shown in an in vitro study that Livaux doesn't support the growth of pathogenic bacteria. In particular, we've looked at Listeria and Salmonella as examples of pathogens, and definitely doesn't promote the growth of those. So it is really a precision prebiotic targeting the good bacteria.
Okay. This is a good question. So, do you get the same effect if you just take a whole kiwi fruit, a whole gold kiwi?
Whole gold kiwi fruit. Yeah. The research so far has not shown that. So there haven't been any clinical studies which have shown that taking whole gold kiwi fruit has led to increases in F.prau. So at this time, yeah, it's just Livaux, our powder, that can actually support the growth of F.prau.
Okay. Do you have any recommended dosage for healthy versus individuals suffering from gastrointestinal conditions?
Good question. So for what we'd normally say is for those people who might be experiencing some issues, so if they have some digestive disorders or some other conditions that might be associated with low levels of F.prau, so really need a good boost, then you definitely do go for the 2.4 gram, the higher dose per day. And then for those who might just want to support or maintain their healthy levels of F.prau, then a 600 milligram dose a day will be sufficient for them.
Okay. We have a question here on product formats. What product format would be most suitable for Livaux?
So Livaux as a powder can go into a range of formats. The easiest for those will be things like capsules, tablets, into stick sachets or bulk powders, so like into little tubs, that sort of thing. You can also incorporate it into foods or beverages as well. So it has can be used in quite a range of things. We've actually had some success in the past as well, putting it into gummies and also chewable tablets. So there are quite a range of things that and product formats that Livaux can go into.
Okay, that's great. This is a safety question. So the question is it safe for children and pregnant women?
Yep, so as just a freeze-dried powder of the whole gold kiwi fruit, it is safe for pregnant women, breastfeeding women, and children. We do recommend for children that this be started from about 1 year old. So there can be, it's obviously, especially when you're introducing, it's like introducing any new food or substance to children. You do want to be aware of any food sensitivities or allergies. So that's why we sort of recommend from 1 year up for children. And because kiwi fruit can be allergenic to some sensitive individuals, obviously if there is a history with sensitivity to other foods, then extra care should be taken.
Okay. Well, I think we've answered most of the questions, Emma. Yeah. Yep. So I think we've come to the end of the webinar. I'd like to thank everyone who's attended the webinar. Thank you for joining us today, and we will have more webinar series coming up, so we will keep you updated. And have a good day, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.